John Hammond, and I'm delighted to meet you.
Okay, who's the jerk?
Dennis, our lives are in your hands, and you have butterfingers?
Dodson, we've got Dodson here!
It's almost there, boy. Relax. Try and enjoy yourself.
I think this was Gennaro.
I think this was too.
Alex, listen.
Alejandro's prepared a delightful menu for us. Chilean sea bass, I believe.
Remind me to thank John for a lovely weekend.
Ian?
You'll have to get used to Dr. Malcolm.
Robert Muldoon, my game wardens in Kenya.
Dr. Hammond, I think we're back in business.
I insist. I insist. I insist. I insist. I insist.
Hi guys, this is Jurassic Collectibles and welcome to Jurassic Park REC, your dose of Jurassic fandom in audio bites. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by probably the most active and engaged member of the Jurassic Park community, Tom Fishenden, aka Tom Jurassic.
Yo guys, thanks for joining us today to listen into this. I'm really excited to do this. As a lot of you will already know, I already do a lot of stuff over at the Jurassic Park podcast. I've started doing stuff for Collect Jurassic recently, and obviously I've done a lot of reviews here on Jurassic Collectibles in the past as well, so it's really exciting to be joining the first episode of Jurassic Park REC.
Thanks so much for joining us, Tom. And literally before we started recording, Tom said, "I'm shoving a curly wurly in." if you don't know, our US viewers might not have curly wurlies, but essentially it's like a lacy caramel bar that looks like strings of woven chocolate. And it just made me laugh because just the way you said, I'm just shoving a curly wurly.
Literally, yeah, just all capital letters. And it gets worse as well because I've got a little bit of an ulcer in my mouth at the moment.
Oh,
so
no.
Obviously, curly wurly, for anyone who hasn't had one before, they are the chewiest bar in the world. So I literally cut it in half. I had half and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I had to run out the room and take the other half to my mum before we started recording.
So how is everything in the world of Tom Jurassic?
Everything's really good at the moment, to be honest, yeah. Obviously, still doing a lot of stuff with the Jurassic Park podcast. Brad and Tool were lucky enough to go out to the Jurassic World Live press event, which
Cool.
I helped set up for them, so that was really cool seeing them going out to that. I've been playing an absolute ton of Jurassic World Evolution recently. So yesterday, actually, which was the 17th of April, if I've got my dates right, I think it was, we got the release of Update 1.7 for Jurassic World Evolution, which added a free cam capture mode. So I've been going around getting loads of different photos of all the dinosaurs that I've had in the game since the start. I got some photos of the Jurassic Park Jeep that's in the game, and loads of other bits and bobs. Yes, that's been really fun as well.
And essentially, just to explain to the viewers, it's kind of like a god mode within the game, right? You can essentially move the camera wherever you want, which is something you couldn't do in the game before.
Yeah, exactly. So beforehand, you would have to use a Ranger Jeep and play as one of the Rangers in the back who supposedly has a camera, although you only ever see them with a tranquilizer rifle, but you know, same thing. And they will essentially sit there and give you a certain field of view to get photos, but that was quite restricted. And it meant that especially when you're filming cinematic videos, if you were using the Ranger camera, you'd always have photo grids on, so that would obviously detract from the visual quality. But now this new feature is really, really good because not only does it, as you said, introduce what is essentially God mode, but it also allows you to change the resolution of what you're filming. I completely forgot the word there for a second, yeah. So you can go for different cinematic resolutions, you can get letterboxes to capture certain styles, and it actually does add a lot of new functionality to the game. It is important to note that there's not really too much to it at the moment, so there's only 2 different filters and 3 different resolutions. But I really look at this as like a quality of life update where I think
Yeah.
it's something that now Frontier can constantly add more to,
Absolutely.
and really continue to get people engaging with the game. And already there's been like loads of people sharing new screenshots. I know for console players especially, so I play on Xbox, not being able to get some of the mods that PC players have got to get better screenshots, it's just really kind of got a lot of console players really reinvested in the game, which is nice to see.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So hopefully that will continue. And then apart from that, just doing my usual toy shenanigans, photographing lots of toys. I've been photographing a lot of Lego lately, and we'll touch on that a little bit later as to why that has come back around. But
Cool.
just Lego and Mattel really, and enjoying all the cool stuff that's continuing to hit store shelves. What about you?
Fantastic. Well, I'm currently arranging like a room space for my Jurassic Park collection. My end goal is to have all of my Jurassic Park stuff in one space.
Cool.
And I'm kind of building it custom myself. So I'm shooting video coverage for it, and it will eventually go into a video segment. Half of me is kind of concerned because it's got nothing to do with Jurassic Park building this display. But the other half of me thinks that this is the start of videos where I'll show the evolution of me building the display. So I hope that viewers will enjoy me kind of assembling all of the various different parts, because I'm thinking I'll have my Kenner vintage stuff in one part, and then I'll have the kind of film props in another part, and it should make a nice cumulative display at the end. That's the goal.
Cool. Did you see, on the subject of Kenner, I finally got my first ever Kenner figure?
Oh, really? What did you get?
Yeah, I got the original Jurassic Park squishy Dilophosaurus.
Oh, that's a classic. What a piece to get.
And I didn't buy this one. I hadn't planned to get it or anything. At the Jurassic World Evolution meetup that I did in March, a toy photographer who I'd been talking to on Instagram for a while came along, and it was really nice getting to chill with him. But at the end of the day, he was like, I wanted to say thank you for organising all of this. You've done all of this for all these people. You've given us loads of gifts and things. Here's something for you. And he just pulled out the Dilophosaurus in a resealable bag, and I was like, oh my god, what? And I just lost my mind.
That's fantastic. Do you remember that person's name? Sorry to put you on the spot.
It is Cretaceous Collectibles on Instagram.
Fantastic. Thank you for your generosity, Cretaceous Collectibles. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's
agreed
really
100%. Good. And he's just a really awesome guy as well, who shares a lot to do with the old Kenner stuff. So really go out there and check his account out. I think you guys will enjoy it.
It's definitely a very warm and friendly community. The Jurassic Park fandom is always really kind. I've always remarked on that, and so, it's just a wonderful thing to be part of.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Lego briefly, and I've been hearing lots about a potential new Jurassic Park Lego set. Can you tell me more about it?
Okay, so I'm going to be very, very careful here, because obviously in the past we've reviewed Lego. We've got quite a good working relationship with Lego, and I don't necessarily want to damage that. But what I will say is there have been leaks in the past.
Okay.
There is definitely a set themed around the original Jurassic Park coming.
Okay.
And I would imagine that its announcement will be imminent, judging by the fact that leaks have occurred.
Okay, so I personally hope that it's a visitor centre set. Because I'd really like to own something as epic as the Jurassic Park Visitor Centre set, and for years people have been putting up stuff on what was formerly Lego Cuso and now Lego Ideas, proposals for Jurassic Park Visitor Centre sets that everyone has voted for, and then they always don't get made. And I think even just the Jurassic Park Explorers, or just old classic sets. I know that the smaller Jurassic Park set that they released recently, where it's the control room with Lex and Tim and Alan and Ellie, that's like hot property, and that sells for silly prices already. It's going up and up and up because it's such a sought after set. So yeah, I really hope it's a Jurassic Park Visitor Centre, because I think that would be monumental.
Commas, wink wink. Let's just say that for anyone who is a Jurassic Park fan and who wants more of the Jurassic Park characters who have not been released yet, you are not going to be disappointed. And I think on the subject actually of the Explorer and also some of the other classic Jurassic Park Lego, I'd actually just like to take quite a nice little moment to shout out the way how I actually discovered your channel, because I think it's quite nice looking back at the kind of things we've had in the past, which was I think it was a couple of years ago now. It might have been around 2015 when Jurassic World released. There was a company who produced, not officially licensed, and they weren't meant to be the actual vehicles, but they were just the same type of vehicle, the same colour scheme, you know, as you can sometimes get around copyright by doing. And they released a Ford Explorer and a Jeep Wrangler, which you did reviews on, didn't they?
That's
so I
right.
think anyone who's kind of looking to fill that void with Jurassic Lego while we wait for an announcement in the pipeline, definitely go back and check those out, because I know they're how I discovered the Jurassic Collectibles channel, and I think that they still hold up today as well.
And I'll put links in the description to those videos. I also made some custom minifigures, I think John Hammond and Alan Grant for those. And it was around the time that the Back to the Future DeLorean Lego Cuso, as it was then, set was released. And I kind of wanted a garage of all the cool cars from film history. So I didn't get the Ghostbuster one, unfortunately. I still got to get that one.
I have that sitting on my side right now. I've got the new film one and the old film one side by side.
Oh, amazing. So lucky. Which brings me on to the next point, talking about collecting. What are you collecting at the moment? Have you got any recent acquisitions and anything that you're kind of looking forward to?
Cool. So, I suppose really I'll touch on what we were chatting about a little bit before we started podcasting, when we were just settling down to record this.
That's right.
And that is that Tim over at Collect Jurassic, who I now write for in addition to the Jurassic Park podcast, has been really, really amazing at helping me to get my hands on some of the Mattel toys that never really got a UK release. So I will pretext this by saying I'm really not happy with the situation in terms of distribution in the UK. I think there's a lot that needs to be addressed, and from what I've heard from people who have got retailer access to the stock available, they are not being given the full line to actually purchase anyway. But that's all on another tangent, which I don't really want to get into. I want to keep this quite positive. So Tim has been helping me to get a lot of the human-related products that I've not got so far. So he helped me get the single-carded figure of Zia. He helped me get the single-carded figure of the mercenary with the baby Ankylosaurus. He also helped me get the battle-damaged Velociraptor that's just come out over there that JC, you might have seen Ted Brothers use as a stand-in for the Jurassic Park Raptor. It looks really,
That's
really
right,
good.
yeah, I have.
And he also helped me to get the battle-damaged Albertosaurus, which is another really, really cool figure that I'm really
that one
glad
looks
to
really
have got my
appealing.
hands on. And then lastly, and one of my more recent acquisitions, he also helped me get the Jurassic World helicopter. So it was the Destructosaurs, which was a line that was due to release at Toys R Us. So obviously, with everything that happened there, it never quite got the amount of distribution it should have done. But it's kind of a battle-damaged helicopter you can take parts off, and it comes with an ACU Trooper and a Pteranodon. So that's really what I've been buying, I suppose, Jurassic-wise, in addition to some extra Lego bits. And then I have really fallen back down the Halo rabbit hole lately as well, so I won't go off on a tangent
Halo.
on that. I do. I won't go off on a tangent on that, because obviously it's not really Jurassic Park related. But I have been buying a lot of Mega Constructs Halo stuff lately as well, so needless to say, my wallet is hurting.
Is that kind of like slightly old, or is that kind of new sets?
So it's newer stuff because they still make it. But an interesting thing that not a lot of people realise is that it actually had a rebrand. So a lot of the old stuff now, and I've got a lot more of the older stuff than I do the newer stuff, because that's back when it was better distributed, was under the Mega Bloks banner. And obviously, I'm sure you remember seeing them hit the shelves when they first came out, JC. There were sets from Halo Wars. They then did kind of like in between the games. I think they did quite a bit for Halo 3. And then when Mattel purchased Mega Brands, it got rebranded to Mega Constructs, which is what the current figures are being released under.
Right.
And they've got mixed availability. A lot of my Mega Constructs I have to import as well, unfortunately.
Expensive.
But, yeah, it is, and it's something that's needed addressing for a while, but I think generally the modern toy market does see a lot of issues when it comes to distribution. So, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to brace it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, for the channel, I'm kind of currently finishing up the Safari Limited 2019 line. So we've been going through those. We've got a few more new ones. We got the Spinosaurus and the Pteranodon from Safari Limited.
Cool, yeah.
And we've got the new Reborn Killer Queen round the corner.
Oh,
the green.
I think I just saw these.
And the brown. So yeah, they look really good. Jurassic Park inspired. That kind of textural detail looks like it's pushed. From what I can see in the preview images, it looks like, but in a way it means that because they're smaller scale, when you stand away from them at a distance, they look more accurate, if that makes sense.
The
Whereas
photos
when you get
incredible.
closer, I think, yeah, they look amazing. I mean, even for Jurassic Park inspired figures, they're amazing, but I just noticed how there's a real relief on their skin, like it's really pronounced. And I think that's to kind of make them hold up at distance, which is a really smart idea.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that. Apart from that, I've been buying Jurassic Park vintage stuff as always. I got a, I found a Jurassic Park Jawbreaker box. They're like old gobstoppers. I don't know if you remember gobstoppers, but they were essentially like inspired by sort of Willy Wonka. They're just big balls that, big balls that you lick.
Big balls and curly wurlies.
Yeah, and you just lick this ball, and it takes forever to dissolve. And essentially, the idea is that it's like an everlasting sweet. They taste pretty miserable, to be honest. They just taste like sugar. There's hardly any flavouring, but they were really big in the 90s, and I acquired a sealed box of these Jawbreakers. But the thing I loved about it, and first of all, I've never seen it before. I've got Jawbreakers in their packaging, but I haven't ever seen a box. Is it's got that beautiful Crash McCreary artwork over the front.
Oh, nice! Yeah,
and it's also got a like purple green color scheme. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but I absolutely love it. And also I've been trying to pick up old vintage Jurassic Park books. So I've been going back to the old Golden Books publisher. They're the same people who made the new children book recently, the Jurassic Park one with the Pixar-ish artwork inside. And they produced a line of books in 92, 93 that are either the story of the film, they're art related, like colouring books, puzzle books, or choose your own way books. And they were mainly released in the US and Canada, but they did a ton of them. So I've been sharing the odd image on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow, links are down below. But I've been kind of sharing images of those things that have been making me laugh, because obviously they have to be quite imaginative with these kind of, extra books, what I'd consider kind of EU stuff. And there's just some funny stuff in the colouring books, like colouring in a picture of Lex Murphy covered in snot, and
nice.
Stuff, things that you don't think about, but on face value you're like, that's actually quite a funny thing for a kid to be colouring in. So yeah, I love sort of digging back into that 1992, 93 mentality. I do
actually. A little bit of an interesting tangent to bring up, actually, because we're talking about nostalgia. Yeah. After years and years of people wanting it to be released, the trailer for the original Jurassic Park cartoon is going to be released soon. I don't know who got it, how they got it, and how they're going to be sharing it. But there's an account on Instagram called InGen_Ops that has shared a screenshot of the Pteranodon from it. With the Jurassic Park helicopter, and they've just said Escape from Jurassic Park, the animated series, 1993 original pitch trailer reveal coming soon. Yeah,
I'm thrilled about that, and I couldn't be more excited about seeing that. So yeah, expect a video on that on the channel as soon as that's released. That's around the corner. So thanks for highlighting that, and that's something I'm really excited about. So moving on very quickly, something I've been meaning to discuss with you, more in the Jurassic World sphere.
Yeah.
As a Jurassic World fan, Colin, well, it's quite a while back now, but he ruled out the chance that there would be hybrids in Jurassic World 3. And obviously, hybrids has been a big theme of the new films since Jurassic World with the Indominus Rex, and then Fallen Kingdom with the Indoraptor. How do you feel as a Jurassic World fan? How do you feel about the exclusion of hybrids in Jurassic World 3?
Honestly, and I don't want to come across as being brazen or being very, very blunt about it, but I think it is a big mistake. Just because the sentence that Wu says in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where he says, obviously Mill says we can make another, and he goes, but so will they. That sets us up perfectly for a storyline in Jurassic World 3 or a spin-off, whatever way they feel most comfortable doing it, where we directly explore themes like genetic augmentation, genetic mutation, looking at these people who are trying to reverse engineer these dinosaurs now so they can make their own. But things obviously, as with science, won't always go 100% of the way. So actually it would make sense now that if you have somebody trying to reverse engineer something that they purchased at Lockwood Mansion, that it's now not going to go that way, and they're going to end up with a hybrid or end up with some kind of amalgamation that's not a real dinosaur. I think that actually, from the scientific side of the story, which they've really been trying to push and explore with Henry's character in Fallen Kingdom, and hopefully will continue to explore in Jurassic World 3, that it makes the most sense to have them now. And I think, unfortunately, a large majority of the reason why they won't be in it is because of the animosity that fans displayed, particularly, I would argue, due to the similarities between the Indoraptor and the Indominus. Now, yes, those similarities were deliberate, because obviously the Indoraptor is essentially a smaller version of an Indominus Rex, as Hoskins says in Jurassic World. But I still feel like people thought hybrids weren't perhaps unique enough, and they had been overdone. They'd had practically the same story arc twice across the two films, so it wasn't really moving forwards. And I think that's a shame, because now we really do miss an opportunity for that to move forwards in an interesting way.
Yeah, I think when I remember Jurassic Park coming out, the effect that Jurassic Park had on the scientific community, it raised the discussion about dinosaurs evolving into birds, and whether we could actually clone dinosaurs. The mosquito in the amber idea had so much authority that it made the scientific community sit up and take a look. And, it caused a load of documentaries to appear on TV about, whether we could do this. And for years afterwards, they were discussing, you remember Jurassic Park when they cloned the dinosaurs, is that possible? That came up for years afterwards. So why do you think Jurassic World didn't have this discussion in relation to hybrids? Do you think maybe it glossed over this bit of exposition?
I think it's possible. To be honest with you, I think that, and again, I want to be careful not to potentially upset people in high places here, but I think that the nature of the kind of films that Universal produce is very, very spectacle and adrenaline focused. So I think that Universal's film franchises, particularly Fast and Furious, tend to go more towards high-octane spectacle than they do necessarily scientific backstory. And I think that really is prevalent in Jurassic World, because although we get aspects of the Indominus discussed, it is chiefly there to serve the function of being a bigger, scarier monster that can terrorise the park and terrorise our characters. And it is really there more as the antagonist and as the new equivalent of a T-Rex or a Spinosaurus than it necessarily is there within a hybrid format. I think it was just done within a hybrid format purely because obviously the T-Rex has been defeated by the Spinosaurus. What do you do next? Is there a dinosaur bigger than the Spinosaur? At the time we didn't think there was, so it makes sense that that's why they went there. But I definitely think that there could have been more consideration towards going there, and they could have actually gone there in a way that would have opened up a much more interesting scientific discussion. And I think that's chiefly because people forget that these aren't dinosaur films. So obviously they've evolved to the fact where now we look at them as dinosaur films, and obviously we're not going to get any more hybrids, but actually Crichton, much like most of his other work, always intended for them to be scientifical thrillers. So it would be much more interesting, I think, in terms of his legacy and in terms of Jurassic Park's legacy, to look more at the science behind it than just at the raw spectacle.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I remember hearing about hybrids being the concept behind Jurassic World. It leaked on Joe Blow, and I think at the time I did a discussion video on here, and I think it did feel like Jurassic Park as a franchise was being sort of derailed, and I think some people now feel the same way about Maisie in Fallen Kingdom, that it doesn't feel like a Jurassic Park concept. You know, I don't have a problem with these new ideas being introduced, because essentially the franchise has to forge a new direction. I think what I do have a problem with is these ideas being underdeveloped in the new films in favour of spectacle. And I think probably post like The Mummy, like sort of like early 2000s onwards, Universal, like you say, has geared more towards spectacle. And I understand that's a profit-making thing, and that's kind of like, it's the way that your target audience works and marketing, and it's kind of like a rut that they've got into. But I really hope we get more backstory on screen that makes this world of either the hybrids or Maisie feel much more fleshed out, if that's the direction they want to go in. And I just hope it doesn't get kind of subverted to a TV show where it discusses it even less, and they're just hybrids in it even less, and they still don't have time to discuss the science part. Because it would be nice to have that feeling of that authority that the original film had as a kind of credible story, and also in terms of the captivation of the audience, in terms of like, oh wow, it feels real, like they could really do this. And I think maybe seeing the hybrid process, or seeing what's so innovative about it, maybe in relation to Henry Wu, would really make you appreciate where the story is evolving. And I think
so, yeah.
That would be really nice to see. So,
I mean, ideally, so it's not something we've put on the show notes, and I've literally just clicked it because we've not touched on it. But ideally, that is the kind of story that the leaked supposed TV show that's coming, Camp Cretaceous, could fill. Whether it's going to be a TV show or whether, I personally think the name lends itself more to a game show of sorts. We'll have to wait and see. But see, it's stories like these where, okay, if you don't want to give them to us in a film because you just want the film to be spectacle, you want to get butts in seats and you want to get dollars out of it, that's fine. But then at least use these other avenues you've got. If it's a television show, if it is a book like The Evolution of Claire, to explore some of those stories that more engaged and enriched fans will want to be able to access, rather than just leaving them by the wayside. Because you've got plenty of mediums now to explore those stories within a Jurassic context. So there's no real excuse to not do that.
Yeah, and they're also kind of missing a trick to further root these stories in the past, which, for me at least, doesn't feel like a weakness. Like if you go back and root it more in JP3, Lost World, or Jurassic Park, that makes the story stronger, that connection of the whole saga. Yeah, it really brings a sense of legacy to the franchise. So if they can do something like that, and I'm surprised they haven't done that so much. I mean, they've done it in Fallen Kingdom more than, well, Jurassic World did it too, but they haven't really connected a kind of a scientific evolution of where they've come from to now. You don't feel that sense of Wu's journey, apart from maybe in the kind of Masrani and Dinosaur Protection Group materials, which are all online and not kind of on the screen.
This kind of boils down to a discussion I was having with somebody the other day, though, which is that far too much story has been explored in the viral marketing. Now, don't get me wrong, the guys who do that have done an absolutely amazing job, and it's fantastic, but it shouldn't be their sole job to explore it. So the discussion I was having with somebody, it was Aaron, who's at Conophus, I think I said that right? CONOPHIS,
yes, I know what you mean.
On Twitter, and he was saying, why is Sauna never touched on in Fallen Kingdom?
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously that's something that anyone who has seen the original films will just think is still out there, when it's not. It's been destroyed, but nobody else knows that unless they've seen the marketing. So it's really, I feel, a little bit disingenuous to assume that your casual viewers are not going to remember details like that.
there's huge untapped potential in terms of hybrids in sauna and the factory floor. I mean, that kind of it's a no-brainer, really, to go back there and explore the evolution of these hybrids. And I felt like that's something they could or should have done in Jurassic World, to really give the I-Rex this history of how it evolved, and what about this hybrid makes it unique. How did Wu splice these animals together? It didn't have to be scientifically as groundbreaking as the mosquito and the amber, but at least give it something that means the scientific community can contribute and say, yeah, that might actually be possible, and in future we might actually be blending the genetics of humans with owls to improve their eyesight, for example. This type of stuff. Get that conversation going and give the films more authority, rather than making it just a ride, if that makes sense. I think the ride should be there, but the authority is just like equally as important as the spectacle. But that's just my feeling anyway. So do you think the arc of hybrids has had its day? Do you think it can go on? I think in terms of, in Colin's opinion and in Universal's opinion, it's had its day, at least on the golden screen. Or is it? Isn't film the silver screen? I always get it confused. Silver screen, yeah.
But
it's golden. It's Jurassic Park.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I feel like it's had its day in terms of movies. I think it could be explored in extra materials, but it probably won't. And I think that's unfortunate, because we're now at a crossroads where actually there is more scope to explore this story than there has been thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I do hope, as much as I was averse to the idea of hybrids originally, I hope they get fleshed out to kind of give more, story to these creatures, because I think that's the thing. If you can give more scientific authority to these things, it adds to their credibility, which is no bad thing. Well, Tom, thanks for coming on today. I just want to say a huge thank you to you for coming on, and hopefully we can do another video very soon.
Yeah, for sure. It's been really fun. Thanks for having me. And, I'm always talking about Jurassic Park in one form or another, so I'm always game for doing whatever you want to do.
Guys, if you aren't following Tom already, I'm put links down below. Go and follow this guy. He has some amazing content, amazing pictures of all the Mattel toys on Instagram, and he's just a fantastic member of the Jurassic Park community. Let's catch up soon for another fun episode, Tom.
For sure.
In the meantime, take care, and guys, rate, comment, and subscribe.